So you guys really loved superhero weaknesses, even though they weren't surprising. Well, some of these may catch your fancy then, because it's time to dive right back in with the top 10 superhero weaknesses part 2. I'm Sasha Wood, and let's get started. Number 10. THOR and Warrior Madness. Now, one would think that increased strength would be an advantage in a fight, but only if you retain your faculties, which is not what happens to Thor when he enters the state known as Warrior Madness. This occurs when he succumbs to the bloodlust of battle, completely losing himself to it, to levels of absolute insanity. This, while resulting in increased strength, diminishes his accuracy and ability to strategize. It also makes him liable to attack friends, teammates, and innocents. It also means for any villain who still has his faculties and dodges the initial attack, they can recoup and take him down with strategy. His intelligence at this level is so low that during his battles with the rage-filled Hulk, he actually loses. Sorry Thor, sometimes it's better to have brains than brawn. An odd one at number 9. NIGHTCRAWLER and Angel's Blood. That's right, Angel Blood. Why specifically? Well, that's because NIGHTCRAWLER is a NAFM. The NAFM are an ancient race of mutants who have a demonic appearance who happen to be led by NIGHTCRAWLER's father, Azazel. And this isn't angels like holy from heaven, this is blood specifically from Angel Warren Worthington, who yes has healing blood that can heal other people and himself, just not NIGHTCRAWLER. In fact, his blood will make NIGHTCRAWLER's injuries worse. So basically we have an angels and demon thing going on with mutants. NIGHTCRAWLER also has normal susceptibility to injury and the like, but this weakness to Angel's blood just makes him a bit more unique. One that often just perplexes people in at number 8. Superman and Magic. Superman, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, more powerful than a locomotive, faster than a speeding bullet, unable to withstand magical attack, because he needed more weaknesses? Why Superman is vulnerable to magic is kind of vague, but he definitely is. He can be taken down by Black Adam's lightning. He also easily succumbs to spells that alter his mental state. Although nitpickers claim really he's just as vulnerable as anybody else, but because of his usual power level it just makes him appear like it's affecting him more. But I don't know, they actually don't take him on missions because of this, and they take Batman on magical missions. Maybe Superman just really can't fight with any kind of handicap. Also, the effects of this vary widely depending on the author, so it's not a very consistent weakness. Basically, it's no kryptonite. More magic at number 7. ZATAMA and not being able to speak. As a magician, or sorceress, or witch, or whatever you want to call her, Zatanna's powers are magic based. However, her spells are activated by her saying whatever she wants to happen backwards, which means she has to be able to speak. She's fast, so it can be difficult to incapacitate her, but a swift blow to the neck or solar plexus will do it, as demonstrated by Deathstroke during Identity Crisis, or if you're a magic conjurer, perhaps conjuring some tape over the mouth, that's also a good one, or catching her with her mouth full. These things are a lot about timing as a supervillain. You have to be creative. Number 6. Storm and Claustrophobia. The mutant Storm has the power to control the elements. She's a huge asset in pretty much any fight. However, if you get her into a small space, everything changes. This is due to past trauma involving the death of her parents and her being trapped under the rubble next to their dead bodies. As a result of this, Storm has developed a crippling fear of small spaces. Being enclosed, or feeling like she's being enclosed, can result in a full-blown panic attack and leave her unable to fight until she is in a more open location. This level of realism adds a nice touch to her character. Sometimes all of us find ourselves immobilized by our own fears. More realism in at number 5. Iron Man and alcoholism. While Tony has long since overcome this as one of his foibles, though he does still struggle with it, the Demon in a Bottle storyline provided a very realistic and heart-wrenching storyline about a man falling apart and succumbing to his own demons. Stark's alcoholism obviously leaves him vulnerable to attack and unable to function properly as either Iron Man or businessman Tony Stark, and it also leaves his friends open to attack as well. While this was a brief moment in comics, it became a defining one for the character. Unlike a real alcoholic, Stark has had his relapses and has struggled to overcome them. But for all his weaknesses, it just makes him all the more relatable and human. Another attempt at relatability at number 4. Namor and pollution. Do you want to stop the King of Atlantis? Well then you better start pitching your trash right into the ocean, because Namor is greatly affected by pollution. It makes sense. sense, I mean pollution affects us all, but the way they treat it is very much like kryptonite, basically saying that if Namor is exposed to polluted water, it can negatively affect his physiology and efficiency of his physical abilities. For some, this is a bit too much realism, because if you think about it, then shouldn't land-based heroes be affected by the air quality in their cities? Well, probably, but that doesn't make for the best reading experience. It also doesn't really acknowledge the full extent of ocean pollution, which is just depressing. Pretty much every time Namor approaches almost any coastline, he should just be getting weaker and weaker. So basically, a well-placed oil spill can take Namor out of the equation. And this is starting to sound way too much like eco-terrorism, so let's just get out of here. Number 3. The Human Torch and asbestos. Now, as a Human Torch, anything that removes the oxygen from the environment, unless he's doing it, is not going to be great for this Fantastic Four member. But, for a brief glorious moment, he had an opponent known as Asbestos Man. He created a flame-resistant armor out of super asbestos that let him actually defeat the Human Torch, who is no match for this flame-retardant carcinogenic material. And Asbestos Man doesn't even kill him. He wants him to live with the shame of being defeated by the Asbestos Man. However, the Human Torch ultimately defeats him in a rematch by sucking all of the oxygen out of the room. Knowing what we now know about asbestos, I think it's safe to say that we could all be taken down by the Asbestos Man. It would just take a long time. The Asbestos Man plays a long game. Number 2. Captain Britain and self-esteem. Captain Britain has a variety of heroic powers. Super strength, speed, stamina, durability, the ability to fly. However, ever since his death and resurrection, Captain Britain's powers have been tied to his emotions. If Captain Britain feels confident, well then his powers will function at their peak. If not, then he will literally lose his powers as he loses confidence, in a vicious cycle. So I guess if you taunt him enough or mess him up enough, you can pretty much cripple him. I feel like knowing this was your weakness would also stress you out even more. Captain Britain probably has some pretty high therapy bills. And number 1, get ready for it, Power Girl and any unprocessed materials. So what does that mean? Well, unprocessed material is any basic material used to produce goods, finished products, or energy. So pretty much anything. So throw a rock at Power Girl, she's down. Stab her with a branch, as occurred in the storyline where this was revealed, down. Ah, Wood, my old friend. We meet again. This was revealed during Peter David's run on Supergirl in Volume 4, Issue 16. This was during the period following Crisis on Infinite Earths when the multiverse was destroyed, so Power Girl was no longer an alternate version of Supergirl, and went through a confusing period of retcons, new origins, and bizarre weaknesses like this one. Since she has once more reclaimed her Kryptonian origin, this weakness is no longer an issue. But seriously, why was it ever? A pointy stick should not be able to take down a superhero unless you're having some kind of jungle-themed battle, a la Star Trek. Okay, so those were the top 10 superhero weaknesses part 2. Did you know all of these? Are you plotting your favorite arch nemesis' downfall as we speak? Share what other lists you'd like down in the comments below. I'm Sasha Wood, thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and turn on that bell notification so you never miss another nerdy list. And we'll see you next time.